Are there similarities between throwing and punching? There are, a lot. Here we have a method which follows the same principles as punching. To me and my buddy Jukka, it has been a great help, and we wish that this video will benefit anyone who wants to add power, velocity and consistency with their nose spin or half spin throwing.
A nose spin throw has several moving parts. Often, when you focus on one, you forget the other, but when you approach the throw as a punch, those multiple moving parts may become more manageable.
Before we even touch a knife, let's take a look at what makes a good punch. Pay attention, because all these following principles apply straight to knife throwing. Nobody is punching like a Lego person. Obviously, we want to use everything we got and not just the arm. You may have heard that you should punch through the target. This is achieved by using your every body part. Staying as a tight package helps your body to generate power effectively. Leaning forward prevents this. If your punch is curved, then the power that your kinetic chain produces is weaker. Punching is an explosive movement, and this explosiveness cannot stem from a body that is already tense and stiff. Also, the power is formed not only by contraction of muscles, but also by stretching of different body parts, and this requires relaxation. Imagine that your body is a gun that is about to shoot a bullet. The bullet starts its journey from the feet, travels through the twisting hips, making its way all the way to the shoulder and fist. During this process, the speed of the bullet multiplies and reaches its top speed at the fist. First, do a sharp twist with your hips by using your leg muscles. This sends the bullet upwards into your shoulder. The bullet travels very fast. So fast that it looks like the hips and shoulder move simultaneously, but this is not the case. The hips move just barely before the shoulder. Shooting a bullet is like an explosion, and you can be explosive for just a very brief moment. Other times, try to be as relaxed as possible. Lastly, you will see how a shy Finnish man reacts if he's being filmed without any specific reason.
Älä nyt näytä mitään.
Näytänpäs. Ja mun täytyy suklaa. Mä otan käteen.
Now we are ready to add a throwing knife to the equation. The knife brings a few extra moving parts to the game. Let's see what they are. Grab the knife from the bottom. This way you are not choking the knife. It can move quite freely, and this way collect momentum, which will make it fly faster. If the grip is too tight, the knife can't gain enough momentum. Keep the grip closed all the time and do not open it in any phase. If your grip opens up or collapses, the knife will fly wobbly. The throwing arm should be aligned with the target, and your navel should point about 45 degrees away from the target. Right-handed person should keep their left leg in front. Keep your knees slightly bent. In a hammer throw, an athlete is gaining a huge momentum for the hammer through spinning. We should also create rotational energy to our body and to the knife. It doesn't only increase the velocity of the throw, but also enhances the knife to fly in true no-spin style. It's kind of paradoxical. To prevent the knife from rotating too much in the air, it has to be rotated fast before it's released. This process is about the knife gaining angular velocity, which helps it to fly straight due to the law of inertia. Start by loading the hips by rotating them backwards with the help of your legs. Nice and easy. This doesn't need to be fast. The weight should be now on your back foot. After loading the hips back, It's time to be explosive for a brief moment and do a sharp hip twist forward like in punching. This too requires using your legs. The weight shifts on your front foot. As in punching, this fast hip twist initiates a chain reaction which makes the shoulder move as well. This causes the force to travel all the way to the wrist. Keep the wrist relaxed so it can move back and then forward very fast. It is often claimed that the knife over-rotates if the wrist is active, but if the wrist is relaxed, like it should be, it will naturally stop its motion at 90 degrees, causing underspins more likely. There is a great martial arts-based exercise of putting out the candle without touching it. With this exercise, you can practice of producing and transferring power from your legs and hips to your shoulder and wrist. When rotating the hips back and then fast forward, the arm should move along by making a loop. This not only adds rotational energy, but also creates an acceleration path for the knife. Some throwers make the loop by pulling the elbow upwards. Some throwers make the loop by just taking the knife back. There are other ways too, depending on what feels natural and right for you. During the loop, it's essential to keep the arm and wrist relaxed so they can act like waves in the ocean. When doing the loop, our muscles, tendons, and joints stretch. You can feel stretching in your elbow, wrist, and index finger, perhaps in your shoulder too. The sensation of stretching is very important. It means that the catapult is loaded with power and is ready to launch. At this point, the tip of the knife points backwards. When creating rotational energy, remember the lessons from the punching sequence. Do not lean forward and keep the arm close to the body. Rotational energy is bigger if you stay as a tight package. Also, keep the movement constant without stops. When starting the motion, you don't want to pause it anywhere because that would slow down the acceleration. When the wrist explosively jerks forward, it is the moment when you should let the knife slide out of your hand by loosening your grip just a bit. Do not open the grip. Please note that upon the release, there is no need to intentionally add pressure to the knife with the index finger. By doing that, the power output based on the energy moving from your hips to the knife is disrupted. So, just let the index finger rest on the spine and let it stretch backwards by the impact of the knife. Once again, stretching builds up tension to the index finger. It's like a spring or catapult, which is first tightened and then launched explosively. This is the correct release, and it should happen by itself, not by you actively sliding or pushing the knife with the index finger. There's a difference, and it's an important one. When releasing the knife, you should guide the knife towards the target along a straight line or a tube. Think that you're going to punch a tiny dot in the center of the target with the tip of the knife, although the knife leaves the hand before its tip faces the target. This is also a way to avoid under-rotation, which often happens when the knife is released roughly at 90 degrees. When guiding the knife, a grip firm enough plays an important role, especially on longer distances. Try to keep the grip together as long as possible. When the knife is in the air, let your arm continue its way to wherever it's naturally going. Sometimes you may notice that the arm goes in the opposite direction from the target, and that's fine too. This happens especially with half spins on closer distances when the arm is not fully extended for maximum accuracy and when the arm has still some leftover energy. If you have a good grip on nose spins, half spins should be quite easy for you. They follow exactly the same principles as nose spins. The only difference is that they require less friction from your grip upon the release. That was all. We sometimes joke about knife throwing being a sport of thousands of disappointments, and it is hard, but there is always something special about that successful fun. Please drop comments or questions below. Thanks.